Gladiators by Bradford-based photographer John Bolloten. Subject, as you may recognise, is a cock, and it is about a sort of day in the life of a cockfighting competition in Manila, the Philippines, in Pasay City. It's not something we see every day. There's 60 pages. I think there's about 50 to 60 images in here, which for the time span he had to shoot this was pretty good going. There's some really good pictures. It is 11 and a half by 8 inches, just under. Yeah, just under. It's staple bound. It's just beautifully printed. It's on digital black and white printing. Limited edition of 100. You can still buy it. Get out and buy it. It is published by Fistful of Books, and I'll put a link for the website. It's £8. It's a fascinating book. I've flicked through it a few times, so this is the first time I'm going to actually delve into it. And what I saw immediately and got to understand was it's a little gory in parts, but the pictures get better and better and better as the edit goes down. This is such a great cover. And in the back here, all photographs are taken at Pasay City, Cockpit, Manila, Philippines in September 2019. And this says a lot about John, because John went, I'm not sure he even went to the Philippines for this, and he was on holiday, taking in the culture with his mates there who were from the Philippines. He was blogging and vlogging and taking a lot of his street photography, which he's got a passion for. And I think this came about, and at the end of it, he's got a really good series of pictures. And to anybody who's going out to shoot a story, and it's signed there, he's done a good job, and he's gone through, he sort of follows all the basic principles, the establishing shot, he's got detail, he's got action. He really understands the art of storytelling, and that's good. And this book gets better and better and better as you go along in terms of the edit. And sometimes when you're starting an edit off, or you're starting a sort of narrative off to describe a story, and you've got this amount of photography to fill, you do start with more sort of quieter establishing pictures. When you've got less pictures, you have to sort of bring the edit down and be more sort of descriptive and maybe leave out stuff like this. It all depends. But anyway, yeah, good day's work, good 2 days' work. This has got access which nobody really gets. It's a fascinating book. I'm really pleased I've got a copy. You can get one too. And it's offering me an insight I didn't know much about. And love it or hate it, John likes to dig in and show you stuff which you feel maybe uncomfortable about. But if it wasn't for people like John, how are we going to learn about stuff? You know, it's crucial to a photographer, a photojournalist, a storyteller, that you go in and tell the stories. But the art, for me, is making a good job of it. And this, for what it is in this little book, it's a great job. It's a first, like I said, it's a limited edition of 100. I would guess there has to be a reprint on this, because I think once this establishes itself, people are going to buy this. So £8, get on the Fistful of Book website. Let's have a look at it. So we've got Pasay City, Cockpit. So what I'll do, I'm going to show you most of the pictures, and I'll leave a little bit out. So I think it's important that you maybe get it. But I'll try my best to give you an insight into all of them. It's all fresh to me. So I may bring this down a little bit. So everything is shot on a Fuji X-T1 with an 18mm lens. And cockfighting is really deep-rooted within the culture of the Philippines, and John's really into digging deep into things, and I think he's fascinated by the Philippine culture. And it was just, he wanted to find out stuff. He likes doing stuff where he's uncomfortable, or things like sort of subculture elements of society, and he's doing that in Britain with his grime culture series. He's done it with his drugs, and he's tapping away, you know, and he's making a difference. But what he is doing, he's getting out there and doing it. Really good print quality, this. It's fantastic. Anyway, so we're setting the scene here. We've got the guys all very male dominated with their gladiators. So these are definitely setting the scenes, the competitors. And these are the quiet shots. These are hard work. I mean, it's just, you know, just using these people and using elements of the frame to sort of depict simple shots. You've got to set the scene. It's important. And because he's trying to tell the whole story. And that's what I meant about the book gets better as it goes along, because once you establish that narrative, then you can just play, following some codes of establishing different areas, portraits, and then digging in deep to sort of more constructive shots. It's a great shot. He's got a very good eye, John. You know, he works well, he works it well. He knows what he's got to cover. He's got to cover everything. And it's easier said than done. You know, you're trying to cover things, and you've got to see everything as an opportunity, and you're mentally ticking a boxes in your head when you're shooting some sort of story. You work out the elements, and you're like ticking boxes, thinking, right, I've got to get that, I've got to get that. And if you've missed it, you know you've got to go back to it and find it. And this looks like the blade on the cocks, man. I presume that goes around their legs, and this is, I think they're getting set up. That's such a good shot. You know, this is the sort of stuff which would probably not even get to a magazine, would not even get to a book like this unless it ran through something like The Times or The Independent or The Guardian weekend magazine or something like that. And times have really changed, and a lot of us relied on things like The Guardian magazine and things like that to give us these stories, to show this insight. And obviously it was very edited. And this beauty of publishing now, you can sort of educate lots of people, and that's why I think this is probably going to need another print run on it, to be honest. You should get this just for the art of storytelling, really, and all on an 18mm lens as well. It's fantastic how he's coped with that wide angleness, but I think it works. I really do. And this again, you know, just thinking about the layers, the planes, really very, very skillful photography. So I guess we're still setting the scene, really, and it's going through stages. We've got the money, and then we've got a portrait there. It's nice. So it's a very neutral position. I presume he just got loads of access, which I'm pretty surprised at, really. Looks like a big boxing ring, doesn't it? They've got some room to move about. Well, you know, I can see through the LCD they're really strong pictures. They're really well printed by Festival. They're doing a really good job with this, you know. And there's the sort of build up, the setup. I think they're antagonising the birds with each other, but you know, he's got access there. You know, he's looking at it from a Western point of view, and the other thing which is good about this, which is really clever about this, and it's something I look for when I'm looking at pictures with people. In all of these shots where he's really up close, nobody's staring at him. And he's obviously really embedded himself. And remember, he's a Western guy in Manila, in a place where you don't get access, and cracking job. Look how close he is. I presume with the angle of his lens, he's actually in the ring or the fighting area. Wow. It's pretty hardcore. These are the betting and the bets going on, and the guys, the punters. Nobody's taking any notice of them. It is pretty brutal, and I'm not saying it's great or bad. All I'm taking at a point of view is a view of the educational part that I can see now for the first time. Something I've never seen before, you know. That's a great shot. Really nice. Really, really good. Excellent photography. It's all telling the story, moving through it. And the series of shots is captured here are not easily done. He's having to really think about the shoot continuity in the narrative. So you are going into it quite deeply and looking at all areas and all areas, really. Wow. Fight to the death. This is one of them little books, you know, which the more you look at it, the more you learn, the more you'll see more, you'll find more things to look at. You'll get a sort of a more knowledgeable perspective the more you keep investigating it. And you know, if you're going to do a story, you know, sometimes it doesn't take weeks and months and years. Sometimes you can knock one out in a couple of days, like John's done. And it's all about learning what to shoot. And I know that as being an editorial photographer in newspapers for a long time, and you set out on a job to capture a series of images of something which is happening, and you've got to work quick. You've got to cover everything. There's no sitting back. And I don't think this book really shows you or really gives you the feeling it was hard work. I think that's the beauty of it. It feels really relaxed. You can see by the images he's worked it. You know, he's really worked it, and he hasn't been afraid. And most importantly, they trusted him. There's some great graphic shots. I can imagine it's really intense in there. I would presume it's just the cockerel getting fixed up. Magnificent. And we have to take it for what it is. This is just storytelling. It's whether or not you love or hate this sort of thing, or it intrigues you. It's sad as well. I guess so. These souvenirs. There's no text to it, or from not what I've seen. And here's the last process of the birds being eaten for food, I guess. And I don't know what the ceremony is. Do they lose and do they get eaten? I really don't know who buys the birds and best prime meat. And these birds are like athletes. You know, he's done a good job on this. I'm really thankful I've looked at this, and it's telling a story I didn't know anything about. Published in 2020, fistful of books. Let's get another print run on this and get out and buy this book. Go out and look at John's work. I'll put a link on the website. You can go and look at his other works. I've done a couple of reviews on his other books, The Homeless and The Love Story, books he's done around Bradford. Really gritty, in-depth stuff. John does show a lot of empathy with his work, even though they do feel quite in your face and quite a little bit scary maybe to some people, but he does do a lot of work behind the scenes and he helps a lot of people. And I think what you can learn from this is somebody who can tell a story and can take pictures and knows what he's doing, but actually somebody who's really committed to telling a story and goes out of his way and does it, doesn't sit on his bum and does it. Thanks, John. Thanks, Fistful of Books. Please share the channel. Get these books bought. Thank you very much. Well done, John.